What if I told you that the reason you feel overwhelmed, distracted, and mentally scattered isn't your fault, but instead your default? From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with alerts, messages, and feeds designed to hijack our attention. But 2,000 years ago, a group of ancient philosophers already warned us, control your mind, or the world will control it for you. In a world overloaded with noise, silence is the greatest strength. The Stoics didn't have smartphones or social media, but they mastered self-discipline, inner peace, and sharp focus. Today, their ancient wisdom remains one of our most potent tools in the fight for mental clarity. Today's video isn't just another productivity hack or time management tip. It's a journey of a digital detox through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca faced chaos in their own time, wars, plagues, and political upheaval, and yet they cultivated a calm, resilient mindset. How? By focusing only on what they could control, by detaching from external noise, and by anchoring their minds in the present moment. Now, imagine applying that same Stoic discipline to your digital life. What if your phone didn't control your day? What if you could scroll less and live more? What if your mind could finally breathe again? That's the goal of this video, to help you sharpen your focus, lower your stress, and take back your power using Stoic strategies that are just as effective in 2025 as they were in ancient Rome. Over the next 30 minutes, I'll guide you through 10 powerful Stoic techniques that will change how you connect with technology, focus, and your inner life. These aren't just theories, they're practices. And if you use them, you'll notice a significant improvement in your mental clarity, peace of mind, and energy. Let's begin your digital detox the Stoic way. Technique number 1. Recognize digital slavery. The first step to freedom. Before we can reclaim our time and sharpen our focus, we must confront an uncomfortable truth. We are not as free as we think we are. Look around. Everywhere you go, people are glued to screens, scrolling through feeds, chasing notifications like Pavlov's dog chasing a bell. We've become prisoners of our own devices, addicted to validation, drowning in distraction, and numbing our minds with endless content. The Stoics referred to this condition as the bondage of the soul, not to physical chains or prisons, but to impulses, things outside our control. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And let's be honest, are you truly the master of your phone, or is it mastering you? Digital slavery isn't just about screen time. It's about having your attention stolen. Every notification distracts you from the present. Each app hijacks your thoughts. Every minute spent on mindless scrolling is a minute taken away from your purpose. It's time to wake up. Because here's the truth. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Not your money, not your status, your focus. And in the attention economy, you are the product. The more distracted you are, the more profit someone else makes. Seneca once warned, "People are frugal with their money, but wasteful with their time. Yet time is the one thing it's impossible to repay." When you waste your attention on things that don't matter, you don't just lose minutes. You lose clarity, you lose energy, you lose yourself. So, how do we break free? It begins with awareness. The Stoics believed that self-awareness is the first step toward self-mastery. Monitor your digital habits honestly. How often do you check your phone when you're bored, anxious, or just avoiding life? How many hours pass by without a single moment of genuine focus? Once you see the chains, you can begin to break them. And this isn't about going off the grid or becoming a hermit. It's about living intentionally. It's about choosing when to participate and when to disconnect. It's about using technology as a tool, not letting it control you. Think of it like this. A Stoic doesn't fear the tool. They master it. They don't banish the world. They rise above it. This first step is the hardest because it requires humility, it requires honesty. But once you recognize how deeply your digital habits control you, you've already begun to take that power back. So, take a moment now. Breathe. Look at your screen time, reflect on your patterns, and ask yourself, is this how I want to live? Freedom begins the moment you decide to live by choice, not by compulsion. Technique number 2, embrace voluntary discomfort. Turn off, tune in. Most people avoid discomfort as if it were the enemy. However, the Stoics saw it as a teacher, one of the most valuable. They believed that only by experiencing voluntary discomfort can we develop true strength, clarity, and control. Now let's apply that wisdom to your digital life. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you sat in silence, without checking your phone, opening a tab, or reaching for a distraction? For most people, silence is unbearable. The moment there's a pause, the impulse to scroll kicks in. That's not freedom. That's conditioning. And Stoicism is about breaking that conditioning. Seneca once wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare. And ask yourself, is this the condition I so feared?" That's voluntary discomfort, choosing simplicity, silence, and confronting your impulses directly. Now bring that into our digital world. What if you voluntarily turned off your phone for an hour each morning? What if you deleted the app that consumes your attention at breakfast? What if you made yourself sit in a quiet room alone with your thoughts? Would you feel bored, anxious, restless? Good, that's the point. The Stoics weren't aiming for comfort. They aimed for strength. Today, mental strength means being able to sit still, focus on one thing, and resist the urge to escape into distraction. Voluntary discomfort sharpens the mind, teaches discipline, and rewires your brain away from constant craving for novelty and reward. That rewiring is essential if you want to detox from digital dependency. Here's a simple challenge. For the next 7 days, dedicate a 30-minute window just for disconnecting on purpose. No phone, no screens, just you or your thoughts, and maybe a journal or a walk. At first, it might feel awkward. You may even feel like you're missing out. But embrace it, because on the other side of that discomfort lies a level of clarity you forgot existed. When you stop numbing your brain, your true thoughts rise to the surface. You start hearing your voice again. You begin to feel present in your own life. And the more you practice, the stronger your resistance becomes. Suddenly, you're no longer a slave to the dopamine hit. You're in control. You decide when to engage. You choose when to step back. You become intentional, like a Stoic warrior in the modern world. So don't fear discomfort. Embrace it. Lean into it. Use it to strengthen your mind. In a world addicted to convenience, your willingness to accept stillness will set you apart and guide you toward a life of focus, peace, and unwavering strength. Technique number 3, practice present awareness, the power of attention. In a distracted world, the rarest skill is presence. We live in an age where attention is fragmented. split between a dozen apps, 1,000 thoughts, and an endless feed of content we didn't ask for. But the Stoics knew something we've forgotten. Your life is nothing more than the sum of your attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not the past, not the future, not your inbox or Instagram, just this moment." Because this moment is all that's real. Everything else is imagination or memory. Yet how often do we lose the present? We check our phones while eating. We scroll while walking. We multitask while talking to the people we love. We're there, but not really. We've traded presence for performance, connection for convenience, life for noise. But here's the truth. Attention is your power. It's your lens, your sword, your compass, and the ability to direct it deliberately is one of the highest forms of Stoic discipline. Stoics didn't chase distractions. They trained their minds to stay where they were, whether in a crowded Roman court or a solitary exile. They understood that true freedom lies in owning your moment fully, completely, and without escape. Practicing a present awareness doesn't require incense or retreats. It's a mindset. It's in the way you breathe before you speak, the way you listen without planning your reply, the way you notice your surroundings without needing to capture them for a story. Try this today. The next time you reach for your phone out of habit, pause, take a breath, and ask, what am I running from right now? That question alone can pull you back to now. And now is where life is happening, not in the likes, not in the metrics, not in the next big thing, but in the small sacred moment right in front of you. One deep breath, one clear thought, one quiet presence. That's where clarity is born. That's where stress dissolves. That's where your mind becomes a weapon instead of a victim. The Stoics didn't teach awareness as a luxury. They taught it as a necessity. Because if you don't control your attention, someone else will. So reclaim it. Anchor yourself to now. Train your focus like a muscle. Start small, stay consistent. Feel your thoughts slow down. Watch your stress fade. Notice how the world becomes sharper, richer, more alive. You don't need more time. You need more presence. And that begins with attention. Focus is your freedom. Attention is your armor. And presence is your power. Technique number 4. Set boundaries with tech like a Roman emperor. If Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, you can rule your screen time. Let's face it, technology isn't the enemy. It's the lack of boundaries that's silently destroying your focus, draining your energy, and pulling you away from a life of intention. Every ping, buzz, and pop-up is a demand, a claim on your mind, a micro-invasion. But you don't have to grant it access. The Stoics taught that you are the gatekeeper of your soul. You decide what enters, you decide what stays, and you decide what gets left outside. You have power over your mind, Marcus wrote, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now, apply that to the modern battlefield, your phone, your inbox, your apps. These aren't tools anymore, they're portals. And without clear boundaries, they become open doors for stress, anxiety, and distraction to march right in. So, how do you reclaim your throne? Set digital boundaries like an emperor commanding an army, with decisiveness, with strategy, without apology. Start with physical control. Don't sleep with your phone next to you. Don't eat with your screen. Don't wake up and dive straight into chaos. Protect the first and last hours of your day like sacred rituals. The Stoics believed that the morning sets your intentions and the evening reflects your values. Don't let tech sabotage either. Create a fortress around your attention. Turn off non-essential notifications. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb during focus time. Use apps like blockers, not enablers. Decide when to engage. Make your phone work for you, not the other way around. Schedule your screen time. You don't need to check your email every 5 minutes. You don't need to reply to every message instantly. You are not a machine. You are a human being with a purpose. So, create rhythms, set hours for online engagement, and sacred blocks for deep work, reflection, and rest. Communicate your boundaries. Let people know when you're unavailable. Train others to respect your space by showing that you appreciate it first. You're not being rude, you're being wise. Even Marcus Aurelius, amid wars and politics, carved out time for solitude. So, can you? Ask yourself, is this essential? The Stoics were obsessed with this question. They didn't waste time on the trivial, and neither should you. Before you open a tab, click a link or dive into a thread. Pause to consider the consequences. Ask, does this serve my purpose or steal from it? Because here's the truth. Without boundaries, your mind becomes a battlefield. But with them, you become unstoppable. You move with clarity. You think with power. You create a life where tech is a servant, not a master. So, build your digital walls, guard your attention, and rule your day like the Stoic emperor you were meant to be. Technique number 5. Use negative visualization. Imagine a life without distraction. The Stoics practiced a powerful technique called negative visualization, not to dwell on fear, but to sharpen gratitude and clarity. They would imagine losing the things they took for granted: health, wealth, time, even life itself. But what happens when you apply this technique to your digital habits? Close your eyes and picture this. No notifications, no endless scrolling, no addictive refresh loops, just stillness, focus, freedom. Imagine what your life would look like if your mind were no longer shackled to a screen. What would you create with your mornings? How deep would your thought go without constant interruption? Who might you become if your attention belonged to you, not an algorithm? That captures the core of Stoic digital detox. Epictetus taught his students to rehearse loss, not as a way to invite suffering, but to prepare their minds to face life with power. He said, "Keep before your eyes day by day death and exile, and you will never have an ignoble thought, nor too eagerly desire anything." In modern terms, imagine what life would be like without your phone for a day, a week, a month. Would your identity collapse? Would your sense of worth fade, or would something greater emerge? Negative visualization allows you to confront your dependence and break free from it. We're addicted not just to our devices, but to what they represent: constant connection, instant validation, endless novelty. But the Stoics saw through these illusions. They knew that the things you cling to most often own you. Use this technique as a tool for building strength. Each morning, imagine, what if I couldn't use my phone today? Not to panic, but to prepare. You start to realize how much of your anxiety is artificially induced. How much of your stress comes not from real problems, but digital noise. And suddenly, you begin to see again. You notice the sunrise instead of your screen. You hear the wind instead of a podcast autoplay. You feel your presence instead of drowning in someone else's life. this practice cultivates mental resilience, because when you've already imagined the loss of something, its grip on you weakens. You no longer fear being without it. You become stronger than your cravings. And here's the hidden power of this Stoic exercise. When you imagine a life without distraction, you start building one. You become more intentional. You scroll less. You focus more. And with each step, your mind returns home. So don't wait for burnout or breakdown to detox your life. Practice now. Visualize now. Imagine the absence and create appreciation. Freedom doesn't begin with addition. It starts with subtraction, the conscious removal of what no longer serves you. And that clarity is priceless. Technique number 6, prioritize inner dialogue over digital noise. In the age of endless scrolling and infinite opinions, one voice is being drowned out more than any other, your own. We consume more voices in a single hour than a Roman philosopher would hear in a month. Podcasts, posts, videos, alerts. Always something playing in the background, filling the silence, occupying our minds. But the Stoics understood a more profound truth. Your outer world will always reflect your inner world. And if your inner world is neglected, your life becomes chaotic. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his soul." He didn't say retreat into the crowd or into commentary. He said, your soul, your inner world, and that's what we've lost. We've traded internal dialogue for digital noise. Instead of reflecting on what we think, believe, or feel, we outsource that to influencers, trending topics, and viral opinions. We've forgotten how to be alone with our thoughts. But that silence, that's where clarity lives. That's where strength is forged. That's where the Stoics went, not to escape the world, but to master it. So, how do you bring back the inner dialogue? Start with stillness, not with a screen, not with someone else's thoughts, with your own. Wake up and refrain from touching your phone for the first 30 minutes. Instead, ask yourself powerful questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? What emotion is dominating me right now? What can I control? And what must I release? This is not just a reflection, it's armor. It's your mental discipline sharpening itself for the day ahead. Next, make journaling a sacred practice. The Stoics wrote daily, not to impress others, but to investigate themselves. Epictetus taught, let silence be your general rule, or say only what is necessary and in few words. That silence, it's not empty, it's space. Space where your true self can speak. Each day take 5 minutes. Write down what you fear. What are you grateful for? What do you regret? What you've learned. This is how you build a personal philosophy, not by consuming more noise, but by engaging in your inner conversation. And finally, throughout the day, pause. Step away from the feed. Ask yourself, is this information helping me grow or just distracting me from myself? Because you can't build a strong mind if you never hear it speak. You can't build a clear life if it's always filled with someone else's voice. The Stoics didn't require constant input. They trusted their judgment, and they cultivated it through solitude, stillness, and self-inquiry. You must do the same. In a world screaming for your attention, dare to listen to your voice, because when your inner dialogue becomes stronger than the outer noise, no chaos can shake you. Technique number 7, build a morning routine rooted in silence and clarity. The way you start your morning shapes the tone of your entire day. The Stoics understood this deeply. They began each morning not with chaos, but with clarity, not with distraction, but with direction. Now compare that to the modern world. Most people wake up and immediately reach for their phone. Within seconds, their minds are hijacked, flooded with notifications, messages, news, and noise. They don't start their day. They surrender it. But you're not like most people. You're here to reclaim your mornings the Stoic way. Marcus Aurelius began each day by reminding himself of his duties and preparing for the challenges that lay ahead. His mornings weren't casual, they were intentional. He wrote in his journal, reflected on his purpose, and centered his mind before engaging with the world. This wasn't just philosophy, it was preparation. So, how do you apply this in a digital age? Step 1. Silence before stimulation. Before you touch your phone, before you dive into the flood of external input, take a moment to be still. Sit with your breath. Listen to the quiet. It may feel unfamiliar at first, but that's where your strength begins. Because silence isn't empty, it's space for the mind to stretch. Step 2. Reflect with intention. Take 5 to 10 minutes each morning to journal or think through Stoic prompts. What is in my control today and what is not? What kind of person will I choose to be, regardless of circumstance? What distractions must I guard myself against? This practice sharpens your focus like a blade. It reminds you that the first battlefield of the day is not your calendar, it's your mind. Step 3. Design a routine that empowers, not overwhelms. You don't need a 20-step biohacking checklist. What you need is consistency, simplicity, peace. Consider a morning that includes hydration and breath work, 5 minutes of Stoic journaling, a walk in silence or light movement, planning your top 3 priorities without screens. This isn't a ritual for the sake of productivity. It's about anchoring yourself before the world tries to pull you in every direction. Because once your mind is centered, your focus becomes unshakable. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're responding with wisdom. And here's the truth. You don't have to control the whole day. But if you can own your first hour, you've already won more than most. This is your edge, your armor, your clarity. Start your mornings in silence, reflect with discipline, move with purpose, and watch how the noise of the world begins to lose its grip on you. Begin like a Stoic, act like a leader, and live each day on your terms. Technique number 8. Apply the dichotomy of control to your digital life. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics ever gave us is the dichotomy of control, the ability to separate what is in our control from what is not. In a digital world that constantly overwhelms and agitates us, this ancient principle becomes a life raft. It teaches you how to let go of digital chaos and take command of your mind. Epictetus said it clearly. Some things are up to us and some are not. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's revolutionary. Here's the problem. Most people waste their energy trying to control the uncontrollable. They obsess over comments, likes, messages, headlines, and algorithm changes, things far outside their influence. And in doing so, they surrender their inner peace to forces they can't touch. But the Stoic doesn't play that game. The Stoic focuses entirely on what's within, their thoughts, choices, reactions, and attention. Everything else, noise. So ask yourself, can you control what shows up on your feed? But you can control how often you open the app. Can you control what someone says in a comment? but you can control whether you let it steal your peace. Can you control the digital culture around you? Number. But you can choose to rise above it and live with purpose instead of distraction. This shift is liberating. When you stop reacting to what you can't control, you create space to master what you can. Your boundaries, your habits, your mindset. And that's where the power lies. Here's how to put the dichotomy of control into digital practice. 1. Audit your attention. Each time you feel frustrated, anxious, or scattered online, pause to reflect on your thoughts. Ask, is this in my control? If it's not, release it. Shift your focus inward. 2. Filter your inputs. You may not control the internet, but you control your subscriptions. You decide what you follow, what you read, and what you allow to shape your mind. Curate your digital world like a Stoic guards his mind. 3. Reclaim your reaction time. Just because a notification appears doesn't mean you have to respond. Slow down. Take a breath. Choose your response like a Roman general, not like a panicked foot soldier. 4. Embrace digital serenity. Once you've separated signal from noise, you'll find clarity. You'll stop chasing every headline and start listening to your inner compass. Remember, your phone isn't the problem. The apps aren't the enemy. The issue is misplaced ownership of your energy. The moment you reclaim that energy and redirect it toward what is truly in your power, you become unshakable. The Stoics weren't indifferent. They were disciplined. They didn't numb themselves to life. They focused on what truly mattered. And in your digital life, that means this. Control your attention. Release the rest. And you'll regain the calm that chaos can't touch. Technique number 9. Journal your digital habits the Stoic way. The Stoics believed in one daily ritual that transformed thought into action. Keeping a journal. Not the kind filled with fluffy affirmations or filtered dreams. Theirs was raw, honest, and ruthless. It was a tool of self-examination, a mirror for the mind, a practice that turned philosophy into progress. Now, imagine applying that discipline to your digital life. Every scroll, every application, every wasted minute online, it's easy to ignore when left unexamined. But when you start writing it down, something changes. You see the truth. And truth, my friend, is the beginning of transformation. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor, journaled nightly. Not for applause, but for alignment. He asked himself, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What will I do better tomorrow? This wasn't just a reflection, it was mental training. You can do the same with your digital habits. Each evening, take 5 to 10 minutes. Put your phone away. Sit with a blank page and ask, how much time did I spend on my phone today? What did I consume? And how did it make me feel? Did I use technology or did it use me? What digital moments drained me? Which ones elevated me? This is not to judge, it's to see. And once you see clearly, you can choose differently. Track the patterns. Identify the triggers. Notice when you're most likely to check your phone, when bored, anxious, or overwhelmed. Awareness is the first strike against compulsion. Over time, this practice becomes a form of mental detox. It slows the loop, interrupts the addiction, and rewires your habits, not through force, but through insight. And don't stop at tracking. Journal your Stoic goals for the next day. Tomorrow, I will check social media only twice. Tomorrow, I will begin the day without my phone. Tomorrow, I will respond, not react, to what I see online. These aren't just tasks, they're declarations. They remind you that you are in control. You are the architect of your digital life, not a prisoner inside it. Remember, the Stoics weren't perfect. They stumbled too, but they reviewed, reflected, and returned to their values every single day. So, if you fall into old patterns, don't quit. Just write it down, understand it, own it, and come back stronger. Because every journal entry is a step toward clarity, a line of defense against distraction, a vote for the person you're becoming. Don't let your screen record your life more than your mind does. Write it, reflect on it, redirect your energy. The page is where the noise fades and the real work begins. Technique number 10. Find strength in solitude. Disconnect to reconnect. In today's hyper-connected world, solitude is often mistaken for loneliness. But to the Stoics, solitude wasn't a weakness. It was a superpower. They believed that only during moments of intentional solitude can the mind reconnect with itself, reflect, and reset. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire, wrote his meditations alone in the quiet corners of his military tent, far from the noise of the world. He ruled millions, yet understood that the real battle was internal. Now fast forward to today. We are more connected than ever, but somehow we feel more scattered, anxious, and lost. Why? Because constant connection doesn't feed the soul. It drowns it. Every beep, buzz, and scroll keeps us plugged into other people's lives while pulling us away from our own. We become performers, consumers, reactors, never just being, but solitude. That's where we remember who we are. It's in solitude that you can hear your voice again, process your thoughts without noise, reconnect with your values, discover clarity that no screen can provide. The Stoics sought solitude not to escape, but to reconnect with themselves, to tune in, not tune out. So, how do we apply this in the digital age? You disconnect to reconnect. Begin with brief periods of daily solitude, 10 minutes of deliberate silence each day. No phone, no music, just you, your breath, your thoughts. Maybe a journal, maybe a walk, but no distractions. You'll be surprised by what emerges: clarity, ideas, emotions you've been ignoring. Then build from there. Try a digital Sabbath, 1 full day each week without screens. Take a walk, read a book, think, reflect. Be alone, not as punishment, but as practice. The Stoics didn't wait for quiet, they created it. And here's the most important part. Solitude is where strength is rebuilt. It's where you remember that you are enough, without likes, without followers, without noise. The world wants you to be constantly stimulated because stimulation keeps you distracted, and distracted people are easier to manipulate. But the Stoic path? It's about attention, discipline, inner stillness, and nothing sharpens those like solitude. You don't need to move to the mountains or become a monk. You need moments, spaces in your day where you are unreachable to the world, but deeply connected to yourself. Because when you return from that silence, you'll be more grounded, more focused, more whole. Solitude is not isolation, it is elevation. It's where the noise ends and your power begins. So disconnect, not to escape, but to rise. And in that stillness, you'll find the clarity the world tries to take from you. Conclusion: the Stoic path to digital freedom. You've just explored 10 timeless Stoic strategies, each one a key to unlock your focus, calm your mind, and reclaim your attention in a world designed to steal it. Now ask yourself, are you going to go back to the noise? Back to the compulsive scrolling? back to the endless, draining cycle of digital distraction? Or will you rise above it? The Stoics didn't wait for peace. They created it. Through discipline, through intention, through unshakable inner strength. And that same power is available to you right now. You don't have to delete every app or vanish from the world. What you need is mastery. The skill to stay calm amid chaos, be present in a world addicted to escape, and focus on a society that runs itself. That is the Stoic way. Because when you control your attention, you control your reality. When you choose stillness, you choose strength. And when you detach from digital slavery, you reconnect with the most potent force of all, your true self. So please, take what you've learned today and act on it. Build your boundaries. Own your mornings. Reflect in solitude. Speak with your inner voice. And begin, one moment at a time, to live with clarity, not later. Now. And if you're ready to continue this journey to grow stronger, wiser, and more unshakable in the face of modern chaos, then this is your tribe. Subscribe to the channel, because here we don't chase trends. We chase truth. We don't seek attention. We protect it. We don't scroll through life. We live it with purpose, power, and peace. Welcome to the Stoic and Mindset. Let's walk it together.